Baby's working on that Waterloo sparkling water sponsorship. I'm gonna get that sweet Waterloo sparkling water money. It's time for Baby to be rich. Maybe then I'll have health insurance and also a home. What the fuck is this place? Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is May. Welcome to the show where we talk about horror movies in a closet. It does kind of feel like kind of like, look at me with my little punk stickers and all this cool punk stuff. Look how cool I am, y'all. It's like 2011 over here, motherfucker. Today, I want to talk about Hellfest. Help me! Help
me! You came here to be scared, right?
Hellfest is a movie directed by Gregory Plotkin. You might know Gregory Plotkin from his epic installment to the Paranormal Activity franchise, Paranormal Activity: The Ghost Dimension. There he is. He's an editor by trade, but today he decided to direct a movie. Good on you, Greg. So Hellfest is one of my favorite movies of a while. I want to know what the fuck to think about Hellfest. That's sort of my brand, right? Is I go, okay, horror movie. It's a slasher. Oh, here's some scary stuff that happens, but what does that scary stuff mean? Which is a very niche idea for a YouTube channel, I will agree, and trust me, I struggle financially for that very reason. Support me on Patreon. Every time I do a shameless plug, I feel like I'm going to die. No, but for serious, I've seen the movie twice now. I've watched it a couple of times. I'm a big fan of it, and I like it a lot. I think it's very spooky and very cool. It feels kind of like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but for scary shit. Or like The Holy Mountain, but for scary shit. Insert other movie that's about some sort of long-winded emotional and intellectual journey, but with scary shit. But the thing is, like, I don't know if the movie attempts to mean anything by it. Because I'm the kind of person that feels like I need to justify why I like what I like by saying that it has some sort of grander purpose. It has some sort of grander meaning, and what a piece of art. Wow, it's so rich and filled with interesting meaningful shit. But Hellfest is kind of an exception. It's a movie that I really like. I have no idea what it's about on a story level. I understand what's happening in the plot, but I don't really feel like I comprehend much of the story of the movie, or at least if I do, I've seen this before, and now I'm just sort of left to discern whether or not what I'm seeing is meaningful to me, which is an interesting place to end up in when you like a movie. I liked that movie. Don't know if I connect with anything in it, but I sure love it. It was great. It's a good exercise in aesthetics, tricking me into loving something. So let's talk about the plot, because there isn't a whole lot of it. Hellfest is a movie about a woman and her friends that go to Hellfest, which is a Six Flags for horror shit. It's like Disney World, but for death and destruction. My kind of fucking place. God, I wish I could go to Disneyland. Sometimes I just lay around and watch videos of other people riding the Disney rides, specifically the Haunted Mansion, and I cry a little bit. I have a little bag right here. It's got the Haunted Mansion on it. It's the closest I could get to riding the ride. I'm 27. So Hellfest basically seems like the greatest idea of all time. Like, bitch, get me to Hellfest, buy me some tickets, I will go. It's basically the most accurate depiction of people going to a fucking haunted house and some shit going down that I've ever seen. And if you know anything about me, I worked at haunted houses for about a decade. I was involved in several local haunted houses, including some pretty big name ones. I know about every little intricacy of how they work and why they do what they do. From security, pretending to care about customers, but mostly just being there in case somebody starts punching actors because they're drunk. Also, drunk. Everybody's fucking drunk. A fun thing about haunted houses, especially if you're working at one, is that most of the people that come through a haunted house had to drink a little bit of liquid courage before they came in. You're gonna get hit in the face. A lot. Like, especially if you're good at your job. And look at me, I'm fucking horrifying. I'm very good at my job.
You can just do it. That was insane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hellfest is so accurate in its depiction of how everyone is drunk and rowdy, and they just go into the haunted house and they're just like, look at all this crap on the walls, I'm gonna fuck with it. And they just like fuck with all the props, they dick around and they're really annoying, and security, while being there to protect the people coming through, is mostly there to protect the actors from the brunt of whatever these people are going to eventually do after they've had enough shots. But in the midst of all of this, they go to the greatest haunted house ever. Unfortunately for them, they don't get to have a great time at Hellfest because a fucking murderer is also there, and the murderer went, I bet if I killed somebody and laid them down in a haunted house, no one would fucking know. And he's right.
Same guy's been following us the entire night.
You take your job too seriously.
If somebody wanted to read into that action, like the meaningfulness of that action, somebody could say, what's the difference between enjoying fear and actually legitimately fearing for your life? Like, what is the difference? Like, what is horror about? There is a significant difference of going to a haunted house and somebody jumping out and going, I'm gonna murder you, and going to a haunted house and somebody jumping out and murdering you. It's very different. I remember when I was in training at a haunted house, somebody that was leading the training said, here's why as a horror actor you never jump out and say anything, because then you have to do it. So if you jump out and go, I'm gonna kill you, then you either have to kill them or go back into the darkness like a pussy. So you better fucking kill them. So fucking stupid. Haunted houses are so stupid.
A couple years ago, some girl got totally gutted.
Killer left her body in the park for 3 days. They thought she was a freaking prop.
So we believe that we're safe. We believe that when people are scaring us, it's just them scaring us, but we are paranoid at least 1% that this is all gonna go south. It's kind of like BDSM. I know that if I say the safe word, I'm not gonna get hurt, but what if they ignore my safe word? It's kind of that situation, but in a movie. And not only is it in a movie, bitch, it's lit like amazing. It's all kinds of neon colors, it's all kinds of fun stuff. There's this part where they're walking through this place in the movie called the Deadlands, and these little sack face children come up and they don't scare them, they just hold their hands. That's fucking horrifying. That's scarier than anything in any movie ever. Don't even fucking at me about your Michael Myers, your Jason. Give me those little kids with the sack faces. I don't like it. I don't trust them. I don't trust that they're children. So like, if we were talking about the journey of the movie, the main character's journey, right? A woman thinks that she's gonna go on a date with a guy, but then the guy gets murdered like pretty much instantly. They get there, they're there for like a few minutes, and then the fucking guy's like, I'm gonna go try and steal you a toy. Gets murdered by a murderer. And then for the rest of the movie, she's texting him like, where are you, babe? When are you gonna come back and hang out with me? I'm going through all the haunted houses alone. I really need company. And he's dead. Bitch, if you only knew how much I understand. On the adverse, all of her other friends are just so like confident that this haunted house is not gonna go south at any point. So they're just like, yeah, throw me in the thing where there's a guillotine, that'll be fun. And of course it isn't, and it goes bad for her. Meanwhile, the main girl is definitely being stalked and is definitely being, is aware of the fact that she's being stalked. It's very much like a Laurie Strode situation. There's like this weird pseudo-virginal aspect to it, so it's kind of like a throwback. Is that what it's about? I don't like that. I really dislike the interpretation of slasher movies where people are like, actually, the movie is about penetration. Don't fucking at me with the penetration shit. I don't want to talk to you. Why are you in my home? Fuck that old boyfriend. Now she's got a hot new boyfriend who's trying to kill her.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
And I think that's sexist. My opinion on that basically comes down to, I think that horror movies are probably a little bit aware that that's how people are talking about them. I think that the reason that the movie kind of screams to me that it's not about that is the fact that it is so aesthetically interesting. There is so much to it. It does feel like they are on a journey through hell. At one point, they literally watch a woman get murdered and they're just like, that was scary, but also definitely fake. And it was definitely real. How would you know? what's the difference? To which I say, if you've ever watched somebody die, it is very different than the way they do it in the haunted house. I don't know, when you're drunk and you're stupid and you're a teenager and you're at a haunted house, you legitimately wouldn't know the difference, and that's kind of fucking horrifying. It gets really kind of experimental briefly with its production design, and honestly I think that everybody should look at the production design in Hellfest and give it a nice solid, just a little high five. There's a scene where there's a bunch of like people in cloaks just standing in a room, and it's the scariest shit ever. And I very rarely see movies that have an aesthetically interesting aspect like that. It elevates it in a way because it makes me sit down and go, okay, is this movie smart as shit? Which, when you're watching something and you're like, this is objectively the stupidest thing, then you go, hold on a minute, maybe it's genius. Maybe it's genius because look at it. The definition of style over substance, right, is when you can look at something and go, this means a lot more than it does.
That was insane, right? Yeah, real.
I guess the worst thing about Hellfest is that it kind of plays out exactly like you'd expect, except there's a little bit of twist on the Michael Myers stinger at the end. So at the end of Halloween, Michael Myers is shot dead, he falls off a building, and he lands in the grass. And everybody goes, that was the boogeyman? Yes, that was the boogeyman. And then they look down and he is gone. Ooh, he could be anywhere. It takes him as a character and turns him into a concept. The same thing happens in Hellfest, except she stabs him and then he disappears, and then the next scene is him going home to his child. The fuck? Like, he's just a normal dude who's a murderer, who's like a psychopath who goes out murdering. He's got a daughter and he hangs out with her and she has no idea that he's a murderer. Also, he got stabbed and then he's like, come here, daughter, I'm going to hug you. Very strange that.
You can just do it.
When we think of horror movies, right, we're thinking of some sort of singular scary figure like a Michael Myers or a Jason that becomes so much more than themselves over time, over a series of movies, over cultural examination. What if instead he just became a normal person? Like, is that to say that, you know, he's meant to emulate like the way we look at like school shooters, like something like a human being who exists in the same way that all of us do, who have lives and family and friends, who go out and they do fucked up murder shit. It is kind of a blind spot in horror where I don't feel like we see a lot of normal people being killers thing, which is like a true thing that exists in the world, but it is, you know, obviously very rare, but is becoming increasingly not rare, and that's very scary. Oh, this movie is about public acts of violence. It is just a random act of violence in a very public space, which is very accurate to a lot of the situations that we find ourselves in contemporary culture. And honestly, it's a lot scarier than a Michael Myers figure. Depressing thing to think about. So I don't know. I mean, this video was mostly meant for me to sit down and try and think about and talk about Hellfest and try and figure out why it is that the movie means so much to me, because like I do sit down and talk to friends about the movies that I watch, and I try to figure out what it is that they liked about it, what I liked about it, like why we connect with it in such a way. And this is another situation where, you know, I kind of legitimately don't know, but I think that the movie plays off of a legitimate terror that I currently feel. And I think that largely in society, we all kind of feel that way. But does that make the movie fun? No. It makes the movie haunting and terrifying. So it's weird how on one level you can enjoy a movie aesthetically and think that it's kind of fun and think that it's kind of weird, but also having and carrying that sort of serious sentiment.
Hello? Hey, can you let me out of here?
But honestly, I wonder how much of this is intentional. I wonder how much of it is what he was trying to do with the movie, or is this something that just sort of fell into place? Like, is this something that just sort of happened? I would love to hear your input. I really like it when y'all give input, because it usually does make me change my perspective or make me kind of read into my perspective differently. If you haven't seen Hellfest, please watch it. It's very neat, it's very cool, and you can rent it on Prime Video. I don't fucking know. Here goes May endorsing Prime Video. May's a shill for Jeff Bezos. Listen, I just want you to watch the fucking movie. I just want you to be able to watch the movies you want to watch. Shit. Everything has like such a terrible political dimension, and I feel like I am haunted by that political dimension, and I'm never going to be free of it. It sucks to be an intellectual a lot. That said, I hear my girlfriend calling me for dinner, so I should probably stop talking about the scary horror movie, and I should probably start eating big chicken dinner. Oh, there's like a whole political dimension to that I'm never gonna be free of. I'm sorry, I should be. I don't know how. Support me on Patreon if you want to give me $1. I'm trying to do weekly videos or something like that. I really want to try and step it up this year. Please subscribe and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. I have noticed that if people don't like and comment on my videos now, they don't go in the subscriber feed. I have people messaging me 100% of the time being like, bitch, when are you gonna upload again? And I'm like, I've uploaded. And people are like, I haven't seen your videos in like a year. That sucks because I work really hard to get them there. But please like and comment. That helps. That would help me a lot. But mostly Patreon. Anyway, so
Dinner's ready.
oh, I gotta go eat some food. Fuck y'all.
Eat it.